Hello and welcome to a Tuesday edition of the SportsIntel.com podcast. I am Jeff. You know Vic. You know Eric. And we made it. We got through week 4 of the NFL season. The league is still functioning. Yeah, it's close. And we even got the little Chiefs-Patriots action last night. So maybe the worst is over. We'll see what's going to happen with the Titans this week. That is a drama yet to unfold. But we did have another fascinating week of football, which we will recap. And I think we'll also maybe spend a few minutes to talk about my Padres and the dreaming of the impossible dream here against the Dodgers. We shall see. But let's start by looking back. And Eric, I want to start with you because we now know unequivocally who the most valuable player in the NFL is. And it is not Russ cooking. It is not Dak. It is not Baker Mayfield. There's only one man who clearly is the most valuable player in the NFL, and that is Cam Newton. Because look at what the Patriots are like without Cam Newton. What a horror show that was last night at quarterback for the New England Patriots. So, will you now admit, Eric, as much as you may not like Mr. Newton, he is the only thing standing between that team and a ton of losses. Correct?
No, because they've also had lots of people on the field. One man is not going to make the entire team perform better or worse. Okay.
Ooh, I don't know. Brian Hoyer will challenge you on that assertion.
It's impossible. You still got to have the good line. You just got to have the good defense. There's no doubt that Cam has talent, but there was no way the Pats were ever going to win that game. Even if Newton had been on the field, they would have lost. And I would put money on that.
All right, well, let me ask you this. As I wipe my nose, pardon me. Let me ask you this. If Hoyer doesn't screw up that end of the half business where they had no timeouts, right? If they get points out of that because Hoyer doesn't lose his mind and just completely screws up, and then if Hoyer doesn't fumble the ball away on the 5-yard line at the beginning, when it's still it was still 6-3, right? When he fumbled, when they had the first and goal and he fumbled it away, I don't know. I think the Patriots might have had a shot there. They get points out of those 2 drives. That's a whole different deal, right? Yes, no, maybe so.
I just don't think that we're in a strong enough position to be able to take the game. They may have started strong, but you're only talking one quarter or one half. You know, there's 4 quarters of the ball. How many games have we seen blown in the 4th quarter this season already? It would not have made a difference in the long run if Newton had been in the game. You know, the team still ran away with a 26-10 whoop on the Pats. Newton would not have been able to come up with that difference. Well, the rest of the team had to step up, and they didn't do it. So, no, I don't believe Cam being in the game would have made enough of a difference to put Pats over the top.
Vic, you want to step in on this and render a verdict?
I'm going to have to go with Jeff, man. Sorry. We've been on this all year, and again, I thought he's played well, and I think he would have made a big difference last night, man. You looking at that offense in the first half and watching Brian Hoyer play, that was just putrid. And even Pats fans are sad. And I was like on Twitter, man, I wanted to just go off on Pats fans and be like, listen, I'm a Bears fan. I haven't had a quarterback my whole life. I counted 35 quarterbacks in my life. I was kind of going through Wikipedia last night. So, boo-hoo, you had one bad half of a terrible quarterback, and then he got benched. But sorry for my rant. But no, man, Cam's been balling, and I think he would have made a big difference. the Chiefs did not look sharp in that first half. They turned it on a little bit in that second half. But who knows? If Cam was there, I think they get points on that drive that Jeff is talking about, right? That's the biggest thing. And then who knows what happens the second half. But they would have scored on that drive. And it would have been a lot closer than the score indicated. I'm not saying they would have won, but just Cam has been playing well, and that offense just looks completely different with him in it. And that's why I have to break the tie and go with Jeff on this one.
Are you guys, to just try to change it off of Cam just for a minute, are you guys surprised that they didn't just let Stidham start from the beginning?
I am.
Did they not know? Did they not know like what Brian Hoyer obviously doesn't have at this point? I mean, I'm a little surprised they didn't just let the kid. I know it's Chiefs, whatever, but I was a little surprised that they didn't just let him, take the keys and go.
I think it was just the crazy week. If it happened any other week, it wasn't the COVID stuff. They got some practices in. I think Belichick, a.k.a. Hoodie, would have trusted the kid, but because of everything that happened, no practices, flying in day of, he just wanted to go with the veteran. You know how he is. He trusted the veteran.
Yeah.
I think he can execute the old. That's all I think it is. If it was any other week, I think it would have been Stidham. But again, that's just me speculating.
All right. Well,
I would agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's Eric. Beyond the Patriots, what were your top takeaways from Week 4? What stood out? What did you like? What did you not like from what we saw on Sunday?
The Panthers actually came together. That was a little surprising. They've always shown the ability to be a good team. Year after year, they have the ingredients, but they don't always know how to put them together. And after their performance this past weekend, with Bridgewater throwing the ball, they may have been able to figure it out. And I hope they have. I mean, they're looking like a team that could make a deep run this year, which they've done several times in the past. And if they can continue along those same lines, there are some good things coming for Carolina for the rest of the season.
Do you think that, so in a way, could we say that not having McCaffrey in the lineup is actually turning out to be kind of a good thing for them? Because they have to now, they just can't rely on, they just don't, instead of just giving him the ball like every other snap, now they have to have other people step up, and other people are stepping up. I mean, is that the one benefit that you can take from McCaffrey not being there?
Well, it wouldn't be fair to say that the Pats were so reliant on Cam, and that's the reason they're failing, and then turn around and say they're not, that the Panthers aren't relying on McCaffrey, and that's the reason they're doing well, right? And it doesn't really go both ways. The Panthers, they've always had enough strength on offense, but they just have not always been consistent, and that was really evident last year. They got off to a slow start this year, but they've turned it around. They've won their last 2 games, and I think they're finally getting on track. Losing McCaffrey is going to hurt them. Hopefully, they'll get things sorted out quickly. And that's going to be the stumbling block that the Panthers have to suffer through for the rest of the season until he does make a return. But obviously, no team can be completely dependent on one player to make the big difference for their success.
Yeah. Vic, what about you? What was what's your top takeaways?
Top takeaways, man. I'm not a Lions fan, but I have to talk about Matt Patricia. That guy is a fool. I don't know what else to say. I don't know how he has a job. I don't know if you guys caught his comments. They were up 14-0, and then they got destroyed by the Saints, and then basically he goes on afterwards and says, the Lions were in really bad shape when I got here. That was literally his quote. Now, a couple weeks ago, he blew that fourth quarter lead to the Bears. He brought up the play by the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and yesterday he talks about the Lions being in bad shape. I'm an NFC North guy because I'm a Bears fan. I don't know if you guys remember this, but the Lions were actually the best Lions I'd seen pretty much since like the Barry Sanders days before he got there with Jim Caldwell. I think they won like 11 games, 7 games, 9 games, 9 games. They made the playoffs. they had a good squad they were building. So this is not a case of some guy coming to a team that has just, trash, and he had to rebuild the team. This is a team that was literally on the cusp of the playoffs, and now they're just a joke. And to me, that's the first guy that should have gotten fired. And so I'm surprised he still has a job. So that's kind of one of my takeaways. And then the Cowboys Browns game, man, that was fun to watch. And it's crazy how bad the NFC East is, that the Cowboys probably still will get into the playoffs, right? But the Browns put it on them, and it'll be interesting to watch the Browns versus the Colts this weekend. I think that's going to be a really pivotal game for both of those teams. So I'm interested in seeing that. And then the only last thing I really, really thought to take away was Josh Allen and the Bills, man. And we touched on it a little bit last call. Jeff, you brought it up, how good Josh Allen's playing. And I thought he got hurt, but he came back. And that's a good squad, man. That was a little bit of a trap game. And for them to go out and put it on Vegas and put up 30 points and win, that shows me that this year's Bills are for real. I'm already high on the Bills. I think we all were. But to go on the road in a little bit of a trap situation and get this kind of win, that's a legit win. So they're going to be there come playoff time. So I'm kind of excited to watch them and watch their kind of rise into now taking over for the Patriots, because we're just so used to the Pats dominating, right, that division for so long. Yeah. So it's cool to see kind of a new kid in town kind of doing their thing.
Yeah, I can't decide if I want to say ooh, the Browns are for real.
True.
I kind of want to, but I just don't know. It's especially hard dealing there's. I feel like there's so many. And look, it's the way the league is, right? We're only 4 weeks in. It's a crazy year, and there's no preseason, and yada yada. What are the Cowboys? What are? I feel like there's so many teams that we just don't understand. What is their identity? Are the Cowboys going to just put up 600 yards of offense, but give up 600 yards of offense every game? Is that what they're going to be? Even your Bears, Vic. I just feel like everybody's very almost bipolar right now. You can see the best of each team and the worst of each team on successive plays or successive drives, and there's just such uncertainty. I feel like there's 6 or 7 coaches that you could get fired this week, but then it's who knows what we'll be saying 6 weeks from now. Although I can't imagine. Who do you guys think is going to be the first coach to get fired? See, I think Dan.
You heard my vote.
Yeah.
The Texans already lost theirs. The Texans are now.
Well, I guess that's true. That's right. I mean, boy, I completely forgot. That's right, Bill O'Brien. Yeah, boy. Whew. Long time coming there. Yeah, that's right. So, did they name who did they name for interim? Did they?
They do.
Who's running the show? Yeah. Who's running the show?
Romeo Cornell.
Oh, Romeo Cornell. Okay. I mean, there's another team too. Would it shock anyone if the Texans now start playing really well? They've got the pieces, they've got the talent to be good. Why aren't they good? Why is Dallas giving up 80 points a game? I know they're missing some people, but why is Atlanta so bad? They looked miserable last night, and I'm not just saying that because my wife and I have I know nobody cares about your fantasy teams, all right, but here's the deal. We went into last night all we needed to win our game was for Calvin Ridley to catch one pass for 1 yard. If his line at the end of the night was one catch for 1 yard, we win. No, zero. Nothing.
Did you watch the game?
I did.
Did you see him drop
the pass in the end zone at the end?
Yeah.
It was excruciating.
Yeah.
It was awful. And you know what makes it even more awful? we had Tanyan on our bench.
Whew.
So there's Tanyan scoring like 8 touchdowns, which was great for our bench. And we lost by a half point.
Oh,
We lost by a half point. So I'm pretty down on the Falcons today. But really, they're atrocious. I mean, you got like Dan Quinn's on the block. I think you're right. Patricia is on the block. We know Adam Gase is on the block. I don't know how quickly Mike McCarthy will reach block status, but Jerry can't be too happy with what's going on there. And Bill O'Brien already is out the door. There's 5 right there. You think Mike McCarthy's real happy that he came back to coaching?
he's getting paid.
Yeah, he's getting paid. He is getting paid. So I don't know. I just feel like there's so many teams that should be much better than they're showing, and not. And so you just, except for the Bills. Like, so the Bills, boy, yeah. I mean, they have to be considered huge favorites. Even the Chiefs. I mean, they're winning, but we would all agree that was not a great performance last night. They did not look very good against the Chargers a couple of weeks ago. I mean, yeah, they killed Baltimore, so okay, good. And they killed Houston. So they had 2 games where they dominated, and 2 games where they were kind of like, if a few things go a little bit differently, they could have easily lost. So maybe that's what makes it great. Who's great? Buffalo, we would say, is great. I guess Green Bay, we'd have to say Green Bay is probably what? I guess they're the favorites, right? There's nobody out of the East. We know that.
Seattle and Green Bay look like the 2 best teams in the
Seattle,
NFC. Yeah.
And then Seattle. So like Green Bay and Seattle, those are your 2 teams in the NFC right now. And I guess Baltimore, even though they lost to the Chiefs, I guess you'd still say Baltimore and the Chiefs are your 2 teams in the. And Buffalo. Pardon.
Buffalo's impressed me more than Baltimore, because I'm watching Baltimore. Like, they didn't struggle, but they didn't really put it on the skins like I thought they would. And that, again, like, off of a really bad loss, and then to come out kind of flat against a Redskins team that is missing Chase Young. Lamar did his thing. He had a couple of amazing runs, and that's why they were able to, get to where they were. But I don't know. Bills look like the more balanced team to me so far between those 2.
Eric, what do you think? Is this just the way it's going to be, or do you think as we get a little farther in, we're going to see the cream rise to the top, and then we're gonna know who the real deal is here?
By that time, the season is going to be over. I think that this is basically just a year to rework the NFL and for teams to figure out what they need to do going forward. There are going to be a number of changes coming down the pipe on all levels, players, coaches, even at the highest level, the way the rules are established. This is basically a transition year for the NFL, and certainly there will be some teams later in the season that are a little bit more cohesive. But later in the season, we're already going into week 5. We're almost halfway through the season, and we're still dealing with a Titans team that is having difficulty. They've been able to apparently get their COVID situation under control, but there is still a threat. And, with isolated cases popping up here and there, nothing is safe yet. So there's still a lot of doubt about how the season will actually run and what's going to happen in 3 to 4 weeks from now.
Yeah. It's been, they love their parody in the NFL, but this is like taking it to the extreme, I feel like. But all right, let's transition real quick. Before we started the podcast here, Eric, you were trying to pump my tires on my Padres because I'm not feeling it. I'm concerned. This is not St. Louis anymore. This is a real team that they're going up against. And the pitching, they did announce today that Clevenger is on the roster, and he's almost certainly going to take the ball tonight for Game 1. But you were telling me that I should have some optimism and some hope. Tell the people, tell the listeners why you like, or at least give the Padres a chance here in this division series.
I can't discount the Padres yet. I could be wrong, but they've gotten to where they are the first time in eons because of the way they've been performing this season. And they deserve to be where they are, right? They fought to be where they are. The Dodgers made 2 appearances in the championship series over the past 3 years. They've never been able to take a title, but I think it's almost like it's time to pass the torch. There's no doubt that the Padres have the talent on the team. Where they lack is in a little bit in the consistency department. They need to be more consistent with their pitchers, a little stronger on the pitches. But on the other side of the coin, the Dodgers are in the same boat. They're not strong heading deep into the games. If they have to be forced to put points up heading into the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, the Dodgers have been weak, and this is where the Padres could pull out an advantage if they can force the games to run long. I'm not going to say yet that the Padres could take the series. It would be nice. But I definitely think they're going to give the Dodgers a run for their money, and they'll set the stage tonight. We'll see how they do. I hope Tatis can quiet all of the silent rule whiners from the season and just keep knocking them out of the park.
Yeah, again, the problem for the Padres is just that even with Clevenger pitching tonight, and of course we don't know how long he's going to be able to go. We don't know what he's going to look like. He might go 5 innings but give up 8 runs. Or he might he might go 5 innings, like give up 2 hits and no runs. We have no idea. And even in 5 innings, or he might only last 2. I mean, he's just a complete unknown coming off this injury. But the problem is, even if he pitches a great game tonight, they just have nothing behind him right now. I mean, they just don't have enough starting pitching. I think it worked in a 3-game series, and believe me, look, I mean, it shouldn't have worked. I mean, they were down 6-2 in the 6th inning of Game 2. I mean, it was a miracle that they came back and won that game. But if they're going to give the ball to Paddock, I mean, he's going to have to make another start. He's just not. It's a lost season for him, and there's no reason to think that against this Dodgers team he's going to pitch well. And Zach Davies, he's a number 4 starter on a good day, and how often it's one thing to have a bullpen game in a 3-game series, but now if you're going to try to have like 2 bullpen games at the back end of a 5-game series against the best offense in the league, hard. Real hard. I think, I mean, Tatis and Machado and Myers and Hosmer and Cronenworth up and down the line. The Padres are going to have to just score a ton of runs. They're just going to have to try. They're just going to have to try to win this by just outscoring the Dodgers because they're going to give up runs because they just don't have the pitching depth. They have a bunch of guys that are like rookies or journeymen and. It was a miracle that they were able to, stitch together the 9-inning, 9-pitcher shutout in Game 3. But again, that's against a St. Louis team that should not have been scoring 9 runs a game. I mean, that was a terrible offense, and it finally showed up in Game 3. So I'm trying to be optimistic, but I just think unless they, and as I was saying, before, like they only have to see Kershaw once. They don't have Kershaw's not going tonight. He's going in Game 2, and since there's no off days, I don't see them bringing Kershaw back. They're not going to bring him back on 2 days rest, except maybe to throw an inning. So at least they don't have to deal with him twice. But boy, I don't know. It's just unless they're winning 11-10 every night, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. Vic, what do you think? You're probably out of baseball now, right? I mean. You've turned baseball off for the year. We'll see you in the spring.
Pretty much.
But any thoughts on this or any of the remaining series?
No, I think both of you guys are right, man. Anything can happen this year of all years, and so while the Dodgers are probably one of the best teams, I mean, before the season started, most of us voted like Dodgers, Yankees. Those are the two best squads, right? Like that's who we thought would make the World Series, and they're right there. But this is a crazy year. Anything can happen. But to your point, Jeff, I think if they want to win, they got to do it like you said, just literally bombs away and try to outscore them. And kind of what Eric said too, hope the games get a little bit longer and hope that they're just in the games, like they're bombing away. And because if they start out cold early, I think they're going to get rolled. If they can just literally hit some home runs and hang in some of these games, you never know what's going to happen. So I still think it's going to be the two best squads. But yes, I am checked out now just because football is on and the finals are on. But I'm rooting for your squad, man. San Diego's fun to watch, too. So it would be fun if there's some, who doesn't like underdogs and who doesn't like upsets. So at the end of the day, but I still think it's going to be Dodgers-Yankees, but I'll be rooting for your pods.
I'll just throw this out there, too. Everyone knew the Lakers were going to take the Heat in Game 3 because the Heat were out so many players, right? Look what happened.
Yep.
Everybody knew the 49ers were going to beat the Giants. Look what happened. Okay. The Dodgers, as we were talking about earlier, are not late game players, and in the regular season they brought in 122 runs across the regular season in 7, 8, and 9 innings, which was only bested by the Padres with 124. So, the Padres have it. The Padres have the ability. They have the skills. They have the talent. And like Vic said, and as everyone notices already this year, anything can happen, And I still think that the Padres have a solid chance to at least take the first game tonight, if not the entire series. I'm going to hold out. And we'll see how tonight goes, and then we'll play game 2 and move forward. But I think that the Padres have a solid chance of taking game 1.
Yeah, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, it is gonna, it's just gonna. It sounds weird when I say it, but the Padres almost have to try to sweep. I just think that the biggest problem that the Padres are going to have is the longer this series goes, if we get to a game 4 or even a game 5, they're just going to run. They're going to run out of arms. I mean that's going to be the problem. They're probably going to have to try to. They would probably have to try to win in game 4 as a bullpen game, and they're going to be using their bullpen in the first 3 games. I know they have like about 16 or they have a ton of pitchers on the because it's a 28-man roster. They got a lot of pitching on that roster. But again, it's not like guys that are postseason proven or even regular season proven. So the longer the series goes, I think the deeper the hole becomes because they're just out of quality arms that are rested, and so like tonight is enormous. Like if they can get ahead 1-0 and by some miracle get ahead 2-0, then maybe you can treat game 3 almost as like we're gonna let you have it and we're gonna rest our guys and try to just take it in game 4. We'll see. But the thing I was gonna say is the one thing the Padres really do have going for them here is that they are not intimidated by the Dodgers at all. They, in fact, one of the little sidelines of the series is, are the Dodgers still annoyed at Trent Grisham? There was a series sort of early September where the Padres were still kind of in it for the division, and Grisham hit a huge home run toward the end of the game and just was styling around the bases. Took like 20 minutes to get around the bases. And Dave Roberts, and they were all annoyed, and like put off by. And the Padres were like, yeah, whatever, dude, cry like Joe Kelly. So they're not going to back down. Even if they get down in the game, I think the Padres like it. I think they like coming from behind. So they do have that. They've got the swagger and the they don't, they've never been there before, so they got nothing to lose. And so that could maybe, and the Dodgers are expected to win, so maybe there's a little more pressure on them, like they're supposed to do this. Where the Padres are like, whatever, man, nobody thinks we're going to win, so we can go out and be loose and play our game and do the things we do, and bat flips and all the rest of it. So we'll see. Eric, speaking of the NBA Finals, so what do we think? 2-2 after tonight? I mean, if they could do it once, they could do it again, right? What do we think?
I know that LeBron is not going to be the same LeBron as everyone saw in Game 3. He's coming out with a vengeance tonight, and don't expect him to hold back on anyone. He's going to be putting it all out on the court, and it's going to be a completely different game. I'd love, Bam is supposed to be back in it. I'd love to see the Heat capitalize on his ability. But you've got to be honest. The Lakers just have too much power, and I think the Lakers will take it.
Yeah, hell hath no fury like LeBron scorned. And but maybe the Heat figured something. Maybe the Heat figured something out the other night, though. I mean, you gotta love Jimmy Butler. Is there anybody better than Jimmy Butler? Man,
that was an all-time great finals performance. I don't know if a lot of people watched it. I know ratings are down, and once the injuries happen, people are just kind of checked out. But that was a pretty awesome game to watch, and just how he dominated. So I'm like Eric. I think the Lakers just got too much firepower, unless Bam comes back with a vengeance. But that was really fun to watch. Lakers in a tight one, I think, tonight. Like Eric said, LeBron's going to come out pretty fired up. I think Jimmy Buckets was talking some good trash last game, too. So that's probably had him, a little furious and probably waiting to come out on fire. And AD got into some foul trouble last game. He was out of rhythm. He didn't actually do much at all. So, and he had to get an all-time performance, and all their guys had to play good. So, again, let's see, man. I would love it, though. Like Eric said, again, 2-2 would be amazing. If they could go 2-2, Bam gets healthy, it'll be fun again, at least, right? So,
right.
So we'll see what happens. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, yeah, my heart wants the Heat to keep it going. Once I saw the clip of Butler yapping in LeBron's face, and then just the look on LeBron's face back at him, and I said, "Oh, that was probably not a good idea." And I have, one of my deepest, darkest Celtics nightmares was when it was back in 2012 when he was on the Heat with all your Marquette guys. And the Celtics won Game 5 in Miami. That was the famous, the kid, good job, good effort. Remember that? It was became a meme. And then they went back to Boston for Game 6. The Celtics are up 3-2. And it was like, oh, yeah, we're in the finals, baby. We got it. And LeBron came out, and it was one of the most devastating performances I've ever seen. It just, talk about a guy just completely taking over a game, and he said, we're not losing tonight. And he went out and just played. It was frightening, how good he was and how he just was hitting every big shot. And, and this is this is Garnett, Pierce, and Allen. And, it's not that was the veteran Celtics team. And I see something like that happening tonight. I just see LeBron, like you guys said. I think LeBron's going to come out tonight and just be take no prisoners. And hey, Jimmy Buckets, what do you think about this? I think LeBron still has nights like that in him, and I would expect that to be tonight. But I also am going to be curious to see how Butler responds, and maybe Butler is now playing at such a high level and is got his game so grooved that maybe he's going to be able to match it. I kind of want to look that's what I'm interested to see. Do the Heat? I think the Lakers are going to throw a comet that could blow up the universe. In the early part of this game, can the Heat withstand it? And then keep the game, close enough, and then maybe be able to pull it out at the end. But I would expect LeBron, certainly in the first quarter tonight, to just be on a rampage. Just an anger-fueled, who do you think you are, Jimmy Butler? I think that's what we're going to see, which would be fast, which would be great in and of itself. I mean, that's what's so great about these kind of games. So we'll see. I don't know if the Padres will be like, who do you think you are, Walker Buehler? But hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. That would be nice. So we'll see. And I think that's going to do it for this edition. We'll be back on Friday. And we can recap. Hopefully, we'll be talking about maybe a Game 7. Wouldn't that be nice to have a little Game 7 from the NBA Finals to preview? I think we would like that. And obviously, we have Week 5 of all our picks. Maybe some baseball talk. All these division series will be pretty much at the end by Friday because there's no days off. So we'll have that to talk about as well. So it's never a dull moment around here. And so we'll bid adieu for a day. So for Eric and for Vic, thank you for listening. Enjoy all these different playoff scenarios, and we'll see you on Friday.
See you guys.
Take care.